Welcome to the Renaissance Achiever with Sarah Fui. Today we have a very special guest, my very own business coach and mentor, and now friend, mom of six and serial entrepreneur, Brooke Hemingway. She is a speaker, podcaster, leader, and community builder. And Brooke helps others follow their dreams and launch their big ideas into the world, which is exactly what she helped me do this past year. And she completely turned my world upside down in the best possible way. It was a lot of hard stuff, but it was a lot of good stuff. So thank you, Brooke.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm so excited to be here. And I love that I catch you on your toes,
Oh
having
yeah.
changes.
Yes, yes, she pushes you to your limits as she pushes herself. I want to talk a little bit about how I met you because I think it's just kind of interesting how it was just a little over a year ago. I stumbled on Brooke's oh no, her Instagram page,
Mhm.
Hemingway Half Dozen, and
Yeah.
I saw, oh, she's doing an event. How cool. And I had been wanting to go to more events and get into speaking and just being around other entrepreneurs. And so somehow we started DMing. I found out that you had lived in Hawaii and
Yeah.
raised your kids there, and you were a homeschooler. She has six kids. I have five. So I was like, wow,
Yeah.
okay, I need to connect with this sister. We have a lot in common. And she was so gracious in messaging me back and talking to
Yeah.
me and DMing. And I remember I struggled with I had a baby at the time and I was like, should I go to a line? This is going to be kind of hard. I was intending to go, but I was like, how am I going to leave my baby? I've never done that before. He would be a little bit difficult to bring at that age. And you kind of just coached me through my thoughts without being pushy or anything. And then I realized, you know what? I think I can go. And I'm so glad I did because then I ended up joining your mastermind and like had this year-long relationship, intimate relationship with you. But this is the crazy part is okay, she's throwing this huge event. You are throwing this huge event.
Yep.
And just a few days before, maybe a week before, I messaged Brooke out of nowhere and I'm like, hey, I have this song. I have this song I wrote that I feel inspired to share with people. And I'm like, do you have like 5 minutes on your stage that I could possibly get up there and play it for people? And it was super
Yeah.
bold of me to ask, but
I
I
love it.
I I had a really hard year in 2023 and I was like, I'm ready to just get out of this rut
Yeah.
and I want to just, just go for it and do some things and create opportunities for myself. And I was also in this challenge of facing fears. And so it
Yeah.
was vulnerable and a little bit, I wouldn't maybe recommend just starting out relationships that way, but Brooke is so gracious and she actually messaged me back and she was like, well, let me hear it. And so I sent her this recording, a super long recording with like the whole backstory of it and the song. And she was like, well, and this is like days before the event where you're probably like overwhelmed trying to
Right.
coordinate like 1,000 moving parts. And you're like, here's this stranger on Instagram wanting me to listen to her song
Yeah.
and you listen to it and you respond and you're like, yeah, how about you play at the VIP dinner? I was like, okay. And maybe it was a little decision for you, but it was a huge win for me
Yeah.
to be given that space. And that just speaks to how
Yeah.
generous Brooke is in just giving people a place
Yeah.
to shine and share and grow. And so
Yeah.
thank you for that. And it was because of that moment that it built trust in me like, yeah, this chick is real. She wants to help people out.
Yeah.
And
Not just lip
yeah.
service, right? Well, fortune favors the bold, right? I
Yeah.
love that saying. And the fact that you asked, but it wasn't like you just asked out of the blue and I didn't know who you were. A lot of people do that. They'll ask, I'd love to speak on your stage, or hey, do you have any room for speakers? And they'll like, I don't even know these people. We haven't even had conversations. And, maybe they have like a large following. So I think sometimes when we have large followings, we feel like we're extra uber important, and everybody's important and everyone's special. But the thing that is the most important is the relationships that you have. And I
Mm-hmm.
have learned that time and time again. And so we had this sort of like, we'd been chatting back and forth and had a little bit of a relationship. And you're right, I did challenge you and push you and coach you a little bit, maybe without you realizing I was coaching you on how to, go ahead and feel okay about leaving and coming to align and that your baby was going to be fine.
Yeah.
And you were open and receptive to that. And you asked. And I really, even if I can't tell someone yes, I really respect the ask because I know it takes a lot of courage to ask. And for those of you listening, even if there's people that you follow on social media or on Instagram and you just want to get to know them or you want to learn from them, you want to have a conversation, like, just start being engaged, start being active. Don't go straight in for the ask, but just, put yourself out there and compliment and be a part of their lives and offer to add value. Because as you develop those relationships on social media, a lot of times they do turn into real relationships. They don't all turn into real relationships, but you never know if you don't try. And so I love the story. Like, I still remember those conversations. Like, I
Yep.
totally remember getting to know you and being like, oh my gosh, she's a Hawaii girl. And, at the time of us recording this podcast, I'm in Hawaii and you're not.
Yay.
You're not. My boys actually just pulled out to go surfing for the morning.
Oh, so nice.
Um, go to catch some waves. But I really feel like, you know, us meeting was not just chance or, happenstance. And I feel like that's true for everybody listening is like, don't take for granted the people that you meet in your life and the connections and the impact that people play in your life. And some people it's for a season, some people it's for a lifetime, some people it's for a specific purpose. Like God puts someone in your life just to like open a specific door or to help you with one thing. Always just value those relationships for what they brought into your life, whether they ended well or not. Sometimes relationships
Mhm.
don't end super well, and sometimes there are friendships that are challenging. But you can always look at those connections and realize, like, wow, that person played an integral part in my life, and I wouldn't be who I,
Absolutely. Yeah, I
without.
love that. I love
Yeah.
that thought. I am a strong believer in people come into our lives for a reason, for like
Hmm.
everybody, and to not minimize the interactions in our lives. But I love what you said about even if they don't end well, to recognize the gain that you got from that relationship, right?
Yeah.
And really, if at one point you did love each other or get along or help each other, like there were positives to it,
Hmm.
and it's all a part of the journey. And even the ending bad is a part of the learning, growing journey, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah,
You can learn from every experience and every person, and that learning and that growth is a positive, period. End of story. So
I love
I
that.
live that and I've lived that and I continue to live it. But I feel like, you being bold like that was something that really endeared me to you because I am also a risk taker and I'm also very bold and I have the guts to believe that, I'm just as worthy as the next person. And I think that's a big part of my messaging. And what I want people that I work with to know is like, you're just as special, you're just as worthy. You just need to maybe put in the reps. You need to put in the focus, you need to put in the time, the intentionality, behind the effort and the relationships. It never has anything to do with your worthiness. Usually
Hmm.
it's just like a lack of experience or a lack of putting in the reps that is going to, once you do that, you're going to get what you want, you know?
I love that. I love that. And it really comes down to knowing who you are, right? And being
Mhm.
firm in that and knowing that you have something to offer, but it's also just not about you. And I think that's what helps take the fear out of it for me is if I'm offering something or reaching out or, whether it's my group coaching program or asking to share this song, what takes some of the fear out of it of like, ooh, if I get rejected, it's not about me. It's like, I actually believe this is going to help that person. Like this song, someone might hear it and be like, wow, that was inspiring, or it struck an emotion, or the group coaching program is going to help them. And so I'm not afraid of reaching out and offering it. And they say no. And I'm like, oh, it's okay because it's not about me. It's like, I
Yeah.
want to help you. Right. And that's the way to approach it to help you to
Yeah.
be a little more bold.
Yeah, the first
Yeah.
step I always tell people is to be converted to your own thing. If
Yeah.
you want to get customers or you want to get clients or you want to, make the music or whatever that is like you have to be so bought out, sold out, so like converted and convicted of the thing that you're doing because you can't fake that energy. And
Mhm.
when you are 100% converted to what you're doing, it makes it really attractive to people. And so a lot of times when it comes to sales or marketing or like what it is you're trying to put out into the world, people can be so frustrated. It's like, why aren't people buying or why aren't people doing this? And it's like, what about me is not oozing with passion about this thing? What
Mm.
about me is not telling this story? What about me is not completely converted and convinced that this can help people? And sometimes that's the deeper work that has to happen is you have to really like do the work of journaling or really envisioning and thinking about why it is absolutely necessary that people participate in what it is you're doing. And once you're convinced of that, it's like
Mm.
the switch turns on and people are attracted to that confidence really is what it is. It's confidence
Yeah.
that what
Vibes
you
don't lie.
yeah, vibes don't lie. They really, really
Yeah.
don't. And I know because I've tried to sell things in the past and I'm like, I mean, it's fine. Like this is great, but I haven't been like super, super turned on by it. And so it didn't convert in the same way, you
Yeah,
know?
people can feel that energy, right? Ooh, I
Yeah.
love that. You have to convince yourself first. I love that.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
Yes.
Same thing goes for like people that come to me and they're like, oh, well, I need to ask my husband, or I'm not sure if my husband will say yes. And I say, sister, like the first person that you need to convince and you need to be convicted is you. Like if you
Mm.
go to your significant other and you have already worked out all the reasons why this is the best idea and why you are so on fire about it, and you know this is going to be the thing, if you go with that kind of energy, they can't really say no to you. But if you go asking for permission, sort of unsure, not really like 100% that it's going to be a game changer for you, of course they're going to be no. So, like, the
Yeah,
first
yeah.
person you have to convince is yourself always. When I have gone to my husband with that kind of energy, he's like, all right, okay,
Yeah.
because I'm coming in on fire. So, I've seen
Yes,
this
yes.
lesson for life. It's like, whatever you want, get yourself on fire about it. And then everyone else is going to, catch fire with you.
Yeah, and that's the same as, like, looking creating opportunities, right? When you're doing the ask for an opportunity, like, when you're so confident and sure of yourself, like, "Ah, I'm gonna be a great asset for you," then it's like, oh, they feel that energy, right?
Yeah,
If you're like, can I please help you with this?"
right.
They're like, Yeah,
Exactly. Like,
yeah,
I'm like, "Ooh, you need to go, like,
yeah.
make sure you know what you're doing," you know?
Yeah, being sure of yourself first. I love that. So,
Yeah.
I wanna talk a little bit about Align because it's a big event. That's a big thing you're putting on. It's incredible. I've
Yeah.
only been to one last year, and I'm going to the one this January, and I know that it's gonna be just as amazing and probably even better because that's how Brooke is. She's like, I need to one up myself every time." But how did I kinda wanna know how did this even start? What inspired you to create this? And kind
Ooh.
of like, what is the history of Align, sorry.
Well, I'll try to keep it short, but it's a bit of a story, so we'll give you the Cliff Notes version. So, long story short, a little over 9 years ago, I was introduced to entrepreneurship. I had 5 kids at the time. Oh, they must have been like 9 and under, 5 kids 9 and under. So I'd gone boom, 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 had all these kids and was working very part-time as a nurse and had no business or entrepreneurial experience. I was not on social media. I had 150 Facebook friends, no Instagram, no marketing, sales, social savvy, none of that stuff 9 years ago. But I was introduced to an opportunity. It was network marketing. I built a really successful 7-figure business within just a few years and was honestly kind of just like this dark horse that came, from out of nowhere and built this
Wow.
business from passion, conviction, confidence, right? Just like
Mhm.
knowing that what I had was really good and being really passionate about health and wellness. Because that was my background. I was in fitness and I was a nurse. And I really, truly do believe that your physical health affects everything. And so I built that business, but I built it really wild and really fast and really hard. And I have ambition and I have drive. It's a God given gift I have. But every God given gift we have can be used for good or it can be used for destruction. And so I had taken it to the extreme and I was working a lot. And my life was really out of whack, honestly, out of alignment. And I was really engaging in behaviors that were learned behaviors from childhood, disconnection, avoidance. And so I was really successful in making a lot of money, but I was getting more and more disconnected from my husband. I was hustling for my worth. I was earning all these things from private islands to fancy trips at the Ritz and like shopping sprees of $14,000 and like all of these like amazing things.
That sounds nice.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it was nice, but there's a problem when you like get those things
Mhm.
and you don't really feel that much. Like
Mhm. Yeah,
it's
when you're
not really,
numb.
yeah, you're numb. And so that was the problem is I was numb and it came to a head on June 14th, which is my husband's birthday, about 6 years ago. And it was his birthday, and I was holding our sixth baby. I think I had just finished nursing her, and she was a little bit under 1 year of age. And I was always working so hard. And we're standing in the kitchen, and he says, "Hey, it's my birthday. For my birthday, I want us to go to the beach as a family and spend the day together." I wasn't even listening to him. I was on my phone, like responding to messages, holding a baby. Like I was halfway there. And he said, "You know what? F it. Like I'm going to take the effing kids and leave you and you can have your business." And you would think that that would have been like, I would have started crying or I would have like really felt something, but like I heard it and I was so disconnected that I didn't even really say anything. I just
Mm.
walked away with the baby and he actually did take the other five kids to the beach. He didn't leave me. But what he was saying is like, maybe I should leave you and you can just have your business. And so I went and
You are
sat.
married to your business.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
married to my business. And when he came home, I said, "Hey, we need to talk." And, we went back into the bedroom and I said, "First thing, first things first, this is a feisty me. You know this story. First things first, if you ever leave, I'm keeping everything and you're not taking the kids. And the second thing, you're right. Something's wrong. I'm struggling. I know things need to change, and I'm committed to figuring that out." And so he was right. Something was off. And I basically went on a journey for a year of just trying to really reconcile and figure things out inside of myself, like what was driving my behaviors, what was driving my actions and my perfectionism and my endless like desire to achieve and accomplish and like try to do things. And it really was that I had this deep, 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 deep feeling of not being enough,
Mm.
never being good enough, not, like not being worthy. And I did a lot of work around that. And I also had to do a lot of work around my limiting beliefs, which is really where Align came from because whether it's a combination of things, right? It's programming from the way we're raised, it's society, it's expectations placed upon us as women. But I had this crippling belief that I didn't realize I had, that I could not hold multiple good things in my life at once and that all
Mm.
good things would have to come to an end. And so unconsciously, subconsciously, I was working from this place of I can't be a millionaire and be a good mom. I
Mm.
can't have a great marriage and make a lot of money. Rich people are unhappy. People that succeed have big messes in their life. And it was like, I could not reconcile that I could be successful and also be joyful in life. And that was really what I went on the quest to figure out. And once I realized that, I just did a lot of work around, well, what does it take to be successful and happy and joyful and live a life that matters? And for me, it boiled down to this concept of alignment. I don't even remember the exact moment when that word dropped in, but it was like not about balance because I don't believe in balance. That to me reeks of perfectionism when people are like, "I've just got to balance everything just perfect." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that's like walking on a tightrope." To me, it was about alignment, which is that you have these different areas of your life, your physical, emotional, spiritual, your relationships with others, and money, finances. And also that includes your relationship with money. And so these five facets, I knew that if those five were in alignment, and if I was taking regular assessment and stock of my relationships, my physical health, my spirituality, how I was doing with money or my emotional health, if I was checking in with those areas and I noticed that one was flat, What alignment would say is like, hey, sis, I know you want to be more successful. I know you want to make more money, but right now, your spirituality is really suffering. And so, if you'll just put a little oxygen into that spirituality, if you'll just pump that tire up a little bit, then the wheel is going to be completely smooth, just like riding a bike, right? If you ride a bike
Yep.
with a flat tire, it's miserable. It's so hard. Like you have to pedal so hard to make it up the hill. And like half the time you're going to crash. But it's this concept of if you picture this wheel, this alignment wheel, and there's a part that's flat, if you just put a little life into it, a little bit of oxygen into it, the circle is smooth. And that means everything in your life goes smoother. The
Yes, it's
success,
all
the
connected.
everything is connected. And so I just felt really on fire about teaching women first, specifically, that like you don't have to give up your dreams. You don't have to give up your business. You don't have to give up, trying to be a good mom. You don't have to give up love. You don't have to give up your faith, your spirituality. Like all those things can be on fire. And in fact, when they're in alignment and you flow to the areas that need you most at that time in your life, you actually can have it all without losing it all. And so that's where Align came
Yes.
from. Was I wanted to help people to blast away their limiting beliefs about how much goodness they could hold in their life and how much abundance they could hold in their life, and show them that it wasn't just about a strategy or an email list or a system, or it wasn't about burning every bridge and all the sage and all the, burn it down. It's like it's kind of a balance, but not a balance, but it's kind of a mixture of, we got to burn some things, but we got to nourish some things,
Mhm.
and align.
It's just an adjustment, right? A
Yeah,
readjusting. Yeah.
yeah, it's an adjustment, like, and I do that on a regular basis. Like every quarter, it's like I look at that wheel and I'm like, what needs more of me? Not having fear that the business is going to fall apart, or not having fear that something else is going to fall apart, or that a relationship is going to fall apart. And some relationships have gone away over the years and other relationships have come in, but it really is just about alignment. So that's where Align came from, is like, I
I
want to
love
help
it.
people expand. I want to help
Yes.
people have more abundance, but it's a different way of looking at how to get there.
Yeah, in a spiritually aligned way, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
works for you as an individual. And I
Yes.
love that the word align resonates with me. My first coaching program I launched um 4 years ago already? No,
Yeah.
3 years ago. 3 years
Wow.
ago, it was called Realign Your Mind. And it was named after my first album that I put out 13 years ago called Realign My Mind. And so
Oh,
that word align and realign, that's always been a theme for me of like getting
yes.
back into who you really are supposed to be, right? So I love that. I
Yes.
love that.
Yes. To
And
the
it
truth.
has grown.
I mean, alignment is like, let's get back to the truth.
Yeah.
Here's the truth. And I love truth. I'm a truth seeker. I love true principles, where whatever texts they come from. Like I love the truth, and I want to speak the truth. I want to teach the truth. I want to be an example of the truth.
Yes.
And the truth is, life is messy and it's also really beautiful. There's a lot of pain, but there's also a lot of, pleasure and amazing things. And so it's alignment is about like living authentically truthful.
Yes. I love that.
Hmm.
And the thing about truth is that it's we can say we want the truth, but sometimes it's really hard. A lot of us are avoiding it or hiding from it or just completely blind to certain things. And I think that's why it's so important to like get into a room like this where you have some time to step out of life, step out of the rat race and slow down and hear
Yeah.
inspirational messages and receive your own downloads,
Yeah.
from source and figure out, okay, what am I what is that question you ask? It's like,
Yeah.
what
Oh, is
about
it how are you participating in your own
that
suffering?
that's one of them. Maybe it's that one or not. But yeah, how am I participating in my own suffering? And that's a truth bomb to ask yourself, right? Like,
Yeah.
right? Is seeking the truth from yourself. And the interesting thing is that all the answers can come from
Mhm.
within. All
Yeah.
the answers that you seek and you're studying and reading and listen to gurus
Oh,
and
yeah.
trying to get advice, but the truth is always within you. You just have to uncover it, right?
Well, it's so interesting because I was working out yesterday. One of my core habits, every day is to move my body every day. And I was working out and I was thinking about it's so interesting that I'm a coach and I mentor people and I have a mastermind because there is a big part of me that's like, you don't need a guru or a guide or a shaman or a spiritual guide or like I feel like we're living in a day and age where there's a lot of people offering up that they have the answer for you. And while I also help in my own way, I feel like more of what I do is I just hold a mirror up to help you to see
Hmm.
what's already there. And a lot of times we're looking externally. We're looking externally for someone to have the answer for us, for someone to show us the way or tell us the right thing to do or the perfect thing to do or how to do it right. And I think mentorship is beautiful, but I think that the right mentor is not going to set themselves up as this like spiritual or intellectual genius that is like a guru. Instead, they're going to be somebody that reminds you that you have all the answers inside of you. And so I see this trend where people go from this person to that person to this person to that person, and they're endlessly
Hmm.
paying like all these different coaches and just dropping money left and right to join this and join that. And I'm actually always really happy when someone goes through something that I do, and maybe they do it for like 6 months or a year or 2 years, and then they're off and on their way and they're creating their path and they're doing their thing. And I'm like, sweet, I actually did my work because they weren't reliant on me for 10 years.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love having them in my room and I love having
Yeah.
them come to some retreats and things like
Yeah.
that. But if you need me for 10 years, I am not doing my job.
Yes, you give them the tools to step
Yeah,
into their own power and truth, right? And I think that's
yeah,
what a good coach does is help you learn how to find the answers within yourself. But it is so important to have that outside perspective.
for
And I
sure.
think most of all, it's the accountability.
Yeah.
Because yes, I know how to sit and listen to myself and
Yes,
receive inspiration, but am I going to do it when my kids are screaming they need this and
yes,
that, and I don't like just to sit down. We had a coaching call earlier today, and
yes,
just to sit down and talk to you for an hour, it's like I do know these things already, but have I thought about them recently? No. Like I need someone
right.
there to like
Yes,
shine the light
the
and
accountability.
yes,
Yeah,
the accountability to readjust and be like, Sarah, you know this, let's do it.
correct.
I'm like, okay, yeah. So
And
it
that's
is
powerful.
invaluable.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
powerful thing, and what I've held you accountable to things, and
Yes.
it is like having that person that's not gonna let you off the hook, but that person that's gonna ask great questions so you can pull the answer out from inside. And maybe the question you were thinking about that I ask all the time is when people say, "I don't know." Like, "I don't know why I'm stuck," or "I
Mm,
don't know the answer," or "I don't know." I always say,
yes.
"Well, if you did know, what might it be?" And it's
Yes.
like you always know. And so for me, coaching, yeah, is about just extracting out those answers that you actually do know
Hmm.
the answers and then holding you to a higher standard. And I know you do the same thing. It's like holding people to a higher standard because we're all used to our set point and we've got our thermostat set and we're always going to stay there until we're challenged to come outside of that comfort zone. And I always picture this like this circle. And when you grow, like you expand and it becomes uncomfortable. So you retract a little bit, but you never retract all the way. You just
Mm.
retract a little bit. And then you have another season of growth where you expand and it's like, ooh, that's really uncomfortable. So you retract a little bit, but never like you never go back as small as you were. And I think that is where having a coach or a mentor is powerful is they're going to get you to stretch, and
Yes.
once you've stretched, you can never go back to
Hmm.
exactly where you were before. You can try, but it'll be so uncomfortable and so unfamiliar that you'll very quickly like rebound back into growth. So,
Once
yeah.
you've expanded that way. I love that visual. It's so true. It's a two steps
Yeah.
forward, one step back game. The
Yes.
entrepreneurship and personal development journey. Totally.
Yes.
I
Yes.
love that.
Yes.
I think we could talk for like hours and hours, but I'm trying to keep a limit to these podcasts because I
I
know
know,
people's
right?
attention span. But I want to talk about the concept of being a Renaissance achiever because you are
Yes.
the ultimate Renaissance achiever. You are consistently creating multiple offers, coaching programs, events, retreats, like all of these different things going on at once. And you're like launching every month. I'm like, how is she doing this? So Brooke is an amazing Renaissance achiever. And I want to talk a little bit about, and I know, I mean, there's so much that goes into that, but
Yeah.
the interesting part for me is kind of what you mentioned earlier, how your background is actually as an ICU nurse
Yeah.
and in fitness as a personal trainer. And
Yes.
I'm curious to hear about, because those are pretty traditional careers and people,
Yep.
I mean, an ICU nurse is a great career and people often will stay in something like that for the rest of their lives or to retirement.
Mhm.
And so it's a big pivot to say, okay, I'm going to start this network marketing business, or I'm
Mhm.
going to now be a coach and do events and all of this
Yeah.
different stuff. But how do those identities of being a nurse and being a personal trainer actually fit into your role now in the businesses that you're creating?
Mhm. Mm. I love that. I mean, I always see the connections, like the dots connecting.
Mhm.
And I think that reflection and evaluation is so important to that. And I don't feel like my past life as a nurse or my past life as a fitness trainer and instructor was a mistake. I think sometimes in life, we hold ourselves down and hold ourselves back because we feel like we've wasted so much time and it's too late. And how could I do this now? I have kids, or I have a family, or I'm in my 40s. And so we hold ourselves back from being that Renaissance achiever because so much time has gone by, or we've wasted so much time. But the way that I look at it is those past identities and those past lives were really valuable lessons that I learned in that time about how to take care of people, how to care about
Mm.
people, how to motivate and inspire people, how to help people to create change. And so the elements of my identity that I took from being a nurse were how to care about people, how to be compassionate, how to be loving, how to, see people at their worst, but still see them as a human and not judge. And then from the fitness and that sort of realm was like how to motivate people, how to inspire people, how to help people to believe that they could change and that they didn't have to, stay overweight. Well, now I use those in different ways. And so there's elements of your path that are setting you up perfectly for your future
Yes.
and for the things that you want to do. Nothing is a mistake. Nothing happened randomly. If you are willing to go back and get the lesson from it, things will appear to be random and will frustrate the crap out of you if you're not extracting the lesson. But I learned so much from that period of time in my life. It's not at all who I am now. It's like I don't really even think about myself as a nurse. I don't even really identify with that. It's something that I did that helped unlock gifts and talents that
Yes.
were already inside of me. And a
Mhm.
Renaissance achiever can take any experience from any background or any past or any profession or any loss or any mistake, if there even is such a thing. They can take that and they can transform it. They can alchemize it into something that's going to be this like power tool in their belt to help them go
Yes, I
create
love
other
that.
things. And I think I create so much because I really, in some sense, I really understand like how precious and how short and how fast this life goes by. And I think that the worst thing that could happen is that I would get to the end of my life and I would regret because and this comes from my father passed away almost 11 years ago, and he had so much talent and so much potential, and he was handsome and he was athletic and he was educated, but he just could get his crap together. And he ended up living a life the last 10, 15 years of his life or so that was really kind of tragic and sad, and his potential was not realized. And when I think about how he died, I think about how there must have been so much regret, in his
Mm.
heart for the things that he didn't do, the things that he didn't create, the dreams that he had, the relationships that he didn't heal, the impact that he didn't have. And it's like, oh, I do not want that to be me. And so I create and I keep going and I keep doing and I keep trying to help and trying to impact because I want to get to the end of my life having like worn myself out in the best ways
Yes.
and used up like every ounce of breath that I've had to just help other people to wake up out of the coma that I think most people are in, to help them to wake
Yeah.
up and to live their life in color and to experience and to impact and to come here to create what they were created to create. So, yeah,
I love
I don't
that.
know. I have this deep sense of like, it has to be done. And I can't just sit on the sidelines and watch my life go by.
And I can't picture you ever being old and worn out. You're gonna be 100 years old power
I'm
walking
trying
and
to picture
hosting a
that.
line and jumping on the stage and like
I'm trying to picture that because you guys listening, I'm 46. Okay. I'll be 47 in July. And it's like, I'm closer to 50, you know, than I am to 40. And it's like, how long can I do this? I mean, is it going to be totally ridiculous if I'm jumping around on stage at 55? Like, is
no.
that,
Nope.
like, how's this going to work out? Because I also, girl, like, I'm like a natural girl. Like, you know,
Mhm.
I want to see how long I can go natural. I don't want to be like, I've had 10 million facial plastic surgeries and I don't even look like myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the Hawaii
A
girl in me.
grandma jumping on the stage. It's gonna be
Yeah,
awesome. It's
I
gonna
don't
be
know.
awesome.
What
Well,
are
you
you
know what? You just never the beauty of it is like you never know where your business and your path and your calling is going to take you, 10, 20
Yes,
years from now because 10, 20 years ago you couldn't even imagine this, right? So
no.
I love the idea of being open to pivoting and evolving and just having
Yes,
this who knows what's going to happen, right? And
right,
I
right,
really love speaking to that background, even though I know that's so far removed. I've never known you as a nurse or anything. I
right.
can totally see you as a personal trainer because you're just like working out every day. But I think it's important to reflect back on all of these different past selves that we build upon and contribute to who we are today. And maybe, like you said, it just awoken gifts that were already in you. And we think like, okay, this is the one thing I'm known for that I'm good at. But it's like those gifts can be translated in so many different ways. And like your capacity to work well under stress and multitask and navigate all these things. That's probably why you can do like 3 different launches at the same time. Cause like I was an ICU nurse and people are dying and relying on me to like give them their medicine, right? And it's like, these skills of being under
Yeah,
pressure and
yeah,
also your desire for fitness and health and wellness, like you said, that
yeah,
that directly translates into that will of alignment, which I think a lot of people in personal development and coaching, we're doing all of the psychological mindset work. And then
yeah,
it's like, if you're ignoring the physical, like you are completely out of alignment, right? And so it's
yeah.
such an important aspect that I love
You'll
that it's a big
never
pillar of your program. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll never, ever, ever be as successful and fulfilled as you could be if you put your health on the back burner. Like that, I
Hmm.
know for sure, because you are a physical vessel, like a physical being having a physical experience. And so, if you don't have your health, that's all you focus on. And if you
Hmm.
don't have your health, it affects you emotionally, and then that affects the spiritual aspect. So to me, it is like, of the utmost importance. You're right. A lot of people focus on the psychology or, all you need is God and spirituality. And I'm like, you have this body that you're experiencing life in.
It's everything.
It's everything. Like you have got to take care of this beautiful thing that you've been given, whether you think it's
Hmm.
beautiful or not. And when you do that, all good things are created from you and through you, through this vessel that you have. So I want to have the energy. I want to have the ability and the capacity to do whatever kind of work I'm supposed to do for as long as I can do it. I want to look young. I want to feel young. I want to move like I'm young. You
Yes.
know what I
And
mean?
and you do. Brooke
Yeah,
Brooke can power walk faster than I can run, you guys. I'm like, I cannot keep up with this woman.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's a part of the strategy though, is right? Is like
Yep.
if you have big dreams and you want to be a Renaissance achiever and you are, whatever stage of life you're in is like prioritize your wellness. In fact, for
Hmm.
2025, that actually was the number one thing that I identified that I was going to be prioritizing was my wellness. It wasn't how I
Mm.
launched, it wasn't systems, it wasn't my bank account, it wasn't even other relationships. It was my own personal wellness because
Wow.
I knew that in order to have the capacity to do the things that I'm going to do in 2025, I was going to have to be well. And I didn't put health. It wasn't health, it wasn't fitness, it was wellness. And when I think about wellness, I think physical, emotional, spiritual. So,
Yes,
like,
holistic. Yeah.
yeah, that's on point and on tap for 2025. And anyone listening, it's like prioritize your wellness and everything else will come from that. I truly, truly believe that.
I love that. That's a great note to end on. That I think there's a lot of healers, coaches, mentors, givers who want to share and give to the world and heal and follow their calling. And I think it's very easy for us to forget that we have to prioritize our own wellness and take care of ourselves first in order to
Well, and in
have
the pursuit of doing what you're doing,
yeah,
you're living
yeah,
out of alignment
yeah,
because you're not prioritizing your wellness. So when you come
yeah,
back to wholeness and wellness, you are then back in alignment, and everything that you want to build and create is naturally attracted to you. So get
yes.
yourself back into alignment.
And everything else will just follow much more smoothly. You're gonna have much more of an impact, right? Yes, I love that. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Brooke, for being here, and thank you for everything you have helped me through this year and given me opportunity for. I don't know how I can ever repay you for that.
I'm
But
so, so excited.
yes.
I'm so excited to have you speaking at Align and
Yes.
doing like your own mini keynote concert. Like, I'm really, really excited if you guys have the opportunity to be there and to hear Sarah on stage. I know that it's going to be powerful. It's going to be so special. And it really has been such an honor. That's the way that I look at these connections, and you have something really special to offer. So I'm really excited for you to be a part of that.
Thank you. For anyone who is interested in attending Align, how can they get a ticket or find out more about it?
Yeah, so you can go to aligneventslive.com, aligneventslive.com, and you can use code Align10X to save $100. So if you
Woo!
want to be in that room, Align10X will save you $100. It's January 23rd through the 25th in Scottsdale, Arizona. And if you live in a cold place, Scottsdale's a really nice place to be in
Yes.
January. So if you're needing some sunshine, even just using it for that excuse to get out of the cold and get somewhere sunny, but you'll have an incredible transformational experience that will help you to launch 2025 in a powerful, purposeful way.
Yes, and I am going to get on that stage and do a little mini keynote concert myself. So,
Yes.
yes, I'm super excited for that. Thank you for that opportunity. Thank you for being here. If anyone wants to find you or follow you or connect with you, where can they find you?
Probably the best way is Instagram at Hemingway Half Dozen for my half dozen kids, or brookehemingway.com. We can always get connected. But I actually am that girl that answers messages.
Mhm.
As Sarah shared in the beginning, it is me. I don't have anybody else to answer my DMs or have conversations because I believe in the power of human connection and I would love to be connected.
Yay, thank you so much, Brooke.
Thank you.